Hola a todos! Welcome to day 6 of our program Better Organized in 7 days. So we're almost there, and the motto of today is play. So yesterday we had all the kind of technical parts together. We have different elements of how to structure our tasks, but that doesn't mean automatically that we are all relaxed now and achieve anything we want. It's unfortunately not so easy, so you have to do it. You have to do it yourself. You have to make a habit of it, and you have to make hard decisions. And today we go a little bit more into details, give you a little bit more tips, a few more tips of how to work with your to-do list more efficiently, so that you really see what's important and where you have to say no or stop. So for today you can decide on your own whether you want to do these tips in the morning and look at your to-do list and apply them right away, or maybe you just want to work with your to-do list the way we have learned the last days and come back here this evening and then go through these tips and organize your tasks a little bit more. So one thing that I want to show you, one little detail is, maybe you've discovered it already, on infos, sections and categories you can also add notes like you do with tasks. Same mechanism, you have your sidebar, or if you're working on mobile you go to the notes screen, and so you can type in anything you like. So for categories I like to put in things that are more like long-term or more general, that apply to the whole topic obviously. For sections, for example, it can be a topic, like here I said, okay, make sure you do mostly the workflows. So you can use those notes just to remind yourself of what was the purpose of that section and what you wanted to do with it. When you assign tasks to sections, you don't really see the notes, and you have another mechanism that you see here, and that's those comments. So when you have a section, you can add a little comment. And this will be displayed here next to the sections also when you assign sections to tasks. And that means you can basically give your week or your day a topic and say, okay, this is what I want to do there. And you can also check with the colors here if that is really what you planned into the week. So when you need kind of a home for your task, you haven't finished something today and you don't know when you can continue it, then you can just have a look around and see where it would fit best. Either you do that by looking at where do I already have tasks that kind of fit that topic, or you give your section a topic and see where things fit best. Because this is really important in everything, to keep the focus and to do things together that belong together. And that's another mechanism to help you with that. Another thing are the kind of the roles of the different properties. So we have infos, categories and sections. And you can actually, there's no real hard definition what is a section, what is a category. You can kind of use them in a way, well, that fits best to you. So if there's nothing wrong right away, so if you have like a normal workload, I would stick to sections, using them for time. I would use the categories for something like topics or some other kind of dimensions that you need to structure your tasks, and infos for more generic things. But especially when you run out of categories. So when you realize you have, on every task you have 2, 3, 4 categories, this can get a bit, you kind of lose the overview and the focus that you actually want to gain with them. Then you might consider to rather put it in as an info. So for Totolisto, I have a few things here like cleaning things up, research, give someone else to do, discuss. And that gives me kind of another dimension. And so since the infos are displayed as little symbols, I see them, I know what kind of thing it is to do, but it's not my primary thing. So even if I'm working on Totolisto or some subtopic of Totolisto, I might do the research and clean up at the same day. That is not a huge shift in my mind, but still I see that these are different things, and maybe I have different research topics in the same day, so maybe I want to do them together. So you can play with those things. And also with sections. So in this time I had a lot to do, so I was kind of running out of categories. And I didn't want to put tasks completely on hold in the way to not assign them a section at all, because that's really the backlog. That's those things that I might never do. But these were things I really wanted to get done. I knew I had to get them done to get Totalisto released. But I didn't want to kind of put them so much to the side, but I also didn't want to assign them to any specific time, because you see, I already had like 2 weeks day-wise filled, and like even weeks in advance I had like 10 tasks in a week. That doesn't seem a lot, but I mean, these are like a month in the future, so I know there will be more tasks coming up. There will be things left over, new things coming in, whatever. And so I'm sure there will be much more when I really get to that week. So distributing all those tasks into those weeks wouldn't really help me a lot, because I would have to change them and move them around constantly. So here what I did was use a section that is actually more like a category to say, okay, everything else I have to do on Totalisto before I do the release. That is basically the section here. Usually I wouldn't do that, but since I had so much on my list, I kind of misused the section to also do that. So you see which of those are used. This is something you can play with. It's up to you, and just experiment. See what fits best to you. And that doesn't always have to be the same this year or next year. So sometimes you have less to do, then you can go more to the kind of standard way of using them. But if it maybe gets a little bit too much, you might use them differently. Or if you are lucky enough not to have too much to do in some time, you might not need categories at all. If you're just working on one big topic in your life and you don't have a lot, going on, you don't have to use them. So this is really just, for most of the time we have too much, and this is why we have these very powerful mechanisms. If you don't need them, you don't have to use them. So, and as I said, with all the structure you have and all the notes that you put in, it's still up to you to make the hard decisions. And I'm sorry, I cannot really do that for you. And there's a lot more to talk about. So there will be a follow-up course to go more into the details of how to get rid of tasks or how to say no. Until then, I will give you some tips tomorrow how you can get more ideas of how to do that. And also, if you don't want to miss that course, just sign up for our newsletter, and you will be notified when we have this course. Just a few short tips for getting rid of things. So when you go through your list and it's too much, first of all, look at the things more in the distance, like things that have no section attached, or tasks that are scheduled for very far in the future. Because if you haven't done them for a while, sometimes tasks lose their importance. And that's good, because then you can delete them. So deletion is always the best you can do. If you cannot do that, you might try to get somebody else to do it for you. You might try to change deadlines to gain more time. Or you can shift things temporarily. Instead of trying to achieve everything at the same time, you could say, let's focus on 1 or 2 topics for the next 2 weeks, and everything else has to go later. So you can still do those things, but just let them sleep for a while. And I would do that more on a level of topics, because single tasks, they also kind of interact. And as I said, you want to do things together that belong together. So rather than trying to tackle 5 topics and, on each day trying to work on 5 different things at the same time, rather concentrate on 1 or 2 things that you can really handle and that can really get finished. And when you finish them, then you have your brain, your mind free to do something else. So congratulations for having come so far. We have 1 day left. And tomorrow I give you a few more tips of how to do the practical side and how to go on to really turn this into a habit. So I see you tomorrow. Hasta luego.